Thanks, everyone. Thanks so much, Alan.
Oh, sorry. Yeah.
I'm looking for my slide deck.
Keep going. Yours is coming on. Yeah.
Ah, great. Okay, lovely. Yeah, so thanks indeed, Alan. Important emphasis on skills and AI and other stuff that I will be touching upon myself. It's a pleasure to have this opportunity to speak with you today. And I have to say, for me, it's a pleasure to be able to do a presentation like this and not feel like I'm talking about the future or what is to come in terms of these technologies, which, you know, when you've been involved in something for about 15 years, it feels like we're always talking about the next generation of hardware or software and what that's going to enable. That future has arrived. We're very much there. These technologies are mature and they have a lot of proven ROI, loads of use cases and case studies out there for you to delve into yourselves. And I'll be referring to some of those and signposting where you can get those through the presentation here. So we know that we're mature in terms of these technologies because, and I'm looking at the notes here instead of the full presentation. Can I bring up the full presentation here? I'm sorry, Suzanne. Is it just the notes or can I bring up the full presentation?
Is that the presentation?
Oh yeah, no, that's okay. That's fine. Not to work. Okay, sorry about that. So I say, you know we're mature in terms of the tech now because people, you know, I know that you've had Michael Galbraith has spoken at these events before, and he's had the term immersive technologist has been his role for nearly 4 years now. So I guess, you know, this isn't the fad. It's sticking around. It's very important to Arup. I know that immersive technologies. But just because the technologies are mature doesn't mean that they're still not confusing, right? So there is a real alphabet soup of jargon in this space. And, you know, I should, I guess, apologize on behalf of my sector for foisting all this ridiculous terminology on top of you all. If it's any comfort, even the so-called experts can't actually agree on what half of these terms actually mean or where one of them ends and the other thing begins. So you will have heard of virtual reality, I'm sure, augmented reality, maybe mixed reality, probably not blended reality, merged reality, assisted reality, etc. It is ridiculous, and there's no need actually to understand the half of it. I'm not going to give you definitions for all these terms because it really doesn't matter. Spatial computing we'll come back to in a while. Instead, I just kind of blow away that fog of confusion around the terminology and I say, think of it like this. If there's one image I'd like you to go away with in your head, it would be the picture that you see here. It's a spectrum of experiences. So it's not the hardware and the software that counts. It's what you get in terms of the experience when you use these combinations of systems. And all those things that you've seen there exist on this spectrum of experiences. So if you think about the pink wedge as being reality and the blue wedge as being digital stuff, and I'll use that very technical term, digital stuff, to encompass digital media, the programming, the software that creates the interactivity behind all of that, and technologies to come. So on the left-hand side there, we're at 100% reality. And as we move towards the right, we start layering in more and more digital stuff on top of our reality. So if you took out your smartphone right now and you turned on the camera app, you'd probably see some basic graphics on the camera app, which are helping you to, you know, focus in the right place for the best photograph or whatever. That's a very simple and basic form of augmented reality, right? As we move in to the right, then we start getting more sophisticated and more digital stuff in our real world. And that's kind of mixed reality. So if you think of the kind of the left-hand third of that spectrum as being augmented reality, more or less, the middle third is mixed reality, and the right-hand third is kind of virtual reality. But there's no clear delineation between them. It's just that you're getting more and more sophisticated in terms of the immersive experience. I will say that there's also a word or two or a phrase or two for the full spectrum that you'll probably come across, and that would be extended reality, or if you're going to start, or you will start hearing more about what Apple is doing in this space, they use the term spatial computing to refer to that full spectrum of experiences. So Apple did launch their headset at the start of the year, the Vision Pro, very expensive headset, as you know, Apple are used to doing. And they don't actually talk about virtual reality because I guess they can't be seen to be doing the same thing as Meta. But it is, in essence, that is a virtual reality headset. But they're more focused on the mixed reality part of the spectrum. And what you're seeing here is kind of for professional uses to project holograms into your real world. Sophisticated kind of augmented reality / mixed reality experiences, which is essentially seeing holograms in your real world. So if you kind of think back about the spectrum there a while ago, there's another way to think about it. And that is that augmented reality experiences are kind of primarily in the foreground, mixed reality experiences are in the middle ground. And when we get to virtual reality, we've painted the whole world in digitally, background, midground, and foreground. This is a view through the Meta Quest headset, which I believe Jonathan is with him today. And it's, you know, 8 or 9 times cheaper than the Apple headset, but in many ways it can do a lot of the same things. So even though we think of the Meta Quest headset as being a virtual reality headset, when you put it on, one of the things it does is it scans your room, as you see on the left-hand side there, to figure out where objects are in your room to stop you tripping over things as you're playing a game or doing whatever in the headset. On the right-hand side, you'll see there's a brand new capability now where they're starting to use artificial intelligence to actually figure out what those objects are. So it's no longer the case that it just recognizes that there's some object there. It recognizes that that's a table. It can recognize a couch and label your couch, your door, your window, etc., the wall. So what this means is you can now have a mixed reality experience on the Quest headset where you can have a digital ball. You could throw that, it could bounce off the table, off the wall, land on the couch. So these holograms start to really interact with the real world. So that's a real mixed reality. On then to the part of the presentation, which I really like to talk about, is the Irish companies doing really exciting things in these spaces. And I have to say, we're very lucky that we have world-class companies in Ireland developing experiences and solutions all across this spectrum, augmented, mixed, virtual reality. One of those companies is Dublin-based Immersive, who do a lot of augmented reality experiences for the tourism sector. But in this case, they were helping Caller to run an internal hackathon. And the winning team there developed an augmented reality camera app to help with tank sighting. So, you know, don't think that just because something is kind of on the left-hand side of the spectrum, a basic augmented reality app, you know, that it's not sophisticated enough for the job. The right tool for the right job. Sometimes a basic AR app on a phone is actually the best way to do something. I'd say many of you would probably know Carol Tallon. She's a property journalist for many years, Sunday Business Post. Has a really interesting new business called Place Engage. I think she does iProperty radio as well, and a really good podcast for the construction sector. But Place Engage is all about public consultation. They're going to be using augmented reality to help people to visualize new developments in their neighborhood. So moving on to the middle of the spectrum now, we have a London-based company called XYZ Reality, which was actually set up by an Irish guy called David Mitchell. I think he's a Galway man, but he grew up on a construction site. He says he learned to walk on a construction site. And I think he was a BIM manager with Jay Coffey until 2016. And they were also, I think, the first investors in this company, XYZ Reality. So it's all about millimeter accuracy millimeter accurate augmented reality for construction. And they developed this headset themselves. You might have heard of the Microsoft HoloLens. This is very similar in terms of its capability, but it's been built from the ground up for the construction sector with health and safety in mind, etc. So it's all about placing 3D models to millimeter accuracy on the construction site. as we see there, and doing things like clash detection, etc. And there's one use case there, and I'm going to have to look over my glasses to read that. But you'll see, if you go onto their website, you'll see a lot of really interesting case studies. I think they work a lot with data centers, and you'll see there that the field engineer was able to overlay the 3D model onto the physical site, and that allowed them to check for any clashes or discrepancies in real time. What they discovered was a serious clash between the bus bar and the containment that had been missed by the BIM coordination teams. So really interesting application of the technology there. Back in Dublin, then we have a company called Virtualist. We're moving on again across the spectrum here. Enterprise Ireland-backed company that allow you to pull 3D models into 360 panoramas. And then you'll see the two avatars there. So there's two people remotely collaborating and discussing these models in virtual reality. So it's a real mixture of realities going on there. In Athlone, there's a company called Immersive Technologies, again, doing world-class stuff, but they're mainly focused on virtual reality for training and work with clients like Boston Scientific, Siemens, etc. Again, check out the case studies on their site. There's like a glowing review and a video from Boston Scientific in terms of the value that virtual reality training adds to what they do. And so those are the case studies on the website. You'll see a lot of it is manufacturing and pharma, but they work with the likes of Campville, Waterways Ireland, et cetera, and 2019. So they've been doing this for years. Down in Waterford, then there's a company called Imagine, and they have developed net zero energy building retrofit VR simulation in collaboration with WWETB, and I believe that's being rolled out across more ETBs pretty soon. So it's really interesting stuff. And that's about, as I say, effective learning environment for the construction industry's next generation, empowering construction education with virtual reality. Back in Dublin again, there's VRAI, who work in a few different verticals, but one of them is renewables for the wind energy sector. They have offices in the UK as well, so they've got funding from Offshore Wind Growth Partnership to develop virtual reality training for people in that sector. We ourselves at Eirmersive are on the steering group with the ImTech Skills, and that's been funded by Solus for $500,000 to develop upskilling with virtual reality for wind turbine maintenance technicians. So that's the project background. Mayo Sligo Leitrim ETB were the main partner in that, and there are some of the other partners, the SkillNet, the Western Development Commission, etc. So that's, we're actually rolling that out at the moment. There's 2 micro qualifications have been validated, and it's being rolled out to a few ETBs piloted. So just a few words in closing then about Eirmersive. We were largely a voluntary organization until last year. We represent the sector, the immersive technology sector. But last year we received some core funding from the government to be on the Digital Creative Forum. So Minister Martin launched that at the start of the year. So I guess to a degree, we've kind of got the ear of the government, and we'd love to hear from you guys if you're, any blockers, any stumbling blocks in terms of the adoption of these technologies. We'd love to have a conversation with you. So yeah, just as you can see there, we'll be involved on the Digital Industries Forum, as I said. And in closing then, Alan was talking about the importance of skills, absolutely hugely important to ourselves as well. So we've been leading a consortium in the development of a new apprenticeship in immersive technologies, and that's going to launch in 2025, level 6, over 2 years. And the occupation is for an immersive technologist, 70% on the job and an open invitation, if this is of interest to yourselves, to have an immersive technologist on your company, please do contact us. We'd love to have you on our steering group. So you can contact me through that email, james@eirmersive.com, or Siobhan Magner at mslitb or etb.ie. And that's it. Thank you very much for listening. Cheers.